want to pay the taxes. You're going to have to pay them sooner or later, whether you're dead or alive. So get that through your thick skulls out there. Mm-hmm. As far as the penalties are concerned, they're about 10%. A cost of doing business. And I strongly urge people to get out. Another thing they came up with today, and this is another humdinger that will show you the direction that they're headed in. New legislation. I don't have a number on it yet. It's going to be called the SEAL, S-E-A-L, 401k Savings Act by Senator Mike Enzi of Wyoming and Senator Cole. And they propose workers would be limited to tapping into their 401k retirement plans for loans under this legislation. A lot of people have been going in there to get money out because they don't have any job anymore. And a lot of people have been going in there and taking money out to buy gold and silver coins, bullion, and shares. And the bill would limit the number of outstanding loans for each participant to 3. Employers would have the option to reduce the number for their plans to less than 3. And 28% of the participants in these accounts had an outstanding loan at the end of 2010. So withdrawal has been extensive. It's a record. And the average loan is $7,860. And 58% of the plans permit participants to have 2 or more loans at one time. Now, let me tell you what the problem here is. When they pull money out of their plans, what happens is something has to get sold in the market in order to get the money to give to these people, because they don't leave lots of cash hanging around, so to speak. So that puts pressure on the bond and the stock market to the downside. And that's important to them. Second of all, they want to lock the people in. So unless you leave your place of employment, you really can't get out. And the same thing is true with the other legislation, which has no numbers, that's floating around the House. And I had a House member say via an email, well, I don't know about this other second piece of legislation. Well, he wouldn't, because they're hiding it. And just because you're in the same house with these people doesn't mean they're going to tell you everything they're doing behind the scenes. So that's the way America's headed. Other countries are doing the same thing. A word to the wise should be sufficient. Listen and act.
Mr. Chapman, in the world out there, do you feel that those that have money coming in for the pension fund, are they going to be able to have any pensions at all?
Well, it all depends on how they do it when they do it. And if they do it, this is not, an ironclad case. This very simply is a possibility. But I think they'll do it. Desperate people do desperate things. Where else are they going to get the money? Have the Fed keep on printing it? Have inflation going rampant? They want to play this game out. So I think there's a good chance of passage. And I wouldn't want to be around.
Neither would I. Neither would I. 100%.
Who knows what they're going to do with government pensions and Social Security. I mean, all you have to do is say, well, we don't have enough money, so we're going to cut all government pensions of all kinds, all Medicare, Medicaid too, as well as Social Security by 20%, 40%. Who knows? Government can do anything it wants. You live under a fascist dictatorship. And the dictators are Wall Street and the bankers. That criminal syndicate that runs around $6,000 suits. Well, they screw the public. And how do I know? I spent 29 years there. That's how I know.
That's a fact. Mr. Chapman, who do you think is going to take over the IMF?
I think they'll, as much as J.P. Morgan Chase wants Lipsky in there, I think a European's going to take it. The European Illuminists have got to be absolutely furious that one of their people has been emotionally, mentally, and politically castrated. But, you know, sometimes these people play hardball. And so I think that it'll probably be a European, and I don't know who. And it won't take long.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in about 3 minutes. 3 minutes only. We're only going to do a 3-minute break for all you wind talkers out there. We'll be right back with Mr. Bob Chapman. 3 minutes. I want to welcome Mr. Bob Chapman back to the show. And as you all know, his wife is named Judy. And on Wednesdays and Saturdays, he puts out the International Forecaster. And Judy is worked behind the scenes to make sure it gets out there. Welcome back to the show, Mr. Chapman.
Well, thank you very much. And I see Wendy's back on the show advertising.
Oh, yeah. She's been here in the background every once in a while.
Well, she's got some wonderful products, and she's helped a lot of people.
Yes, she does. She gets a little wrapped up. She just got moved, and she's trying to find internet service. She's kind of what we say going through internet withdrawal at home because she hasn't got a computer at her house anymore. She took them both down to her new store, and she kind of missed your newsletter Wednesday because she couldn't get an email out. Well, she thought she had an email out, but it didn't go. But she does everything she can. I have a question from Melissa Hopkins, by the way. She's out here. She wants to ask Mr. Chapman, what do you suggest for us little people? What do you suggest us little people do and say to our representatives about the financial? Did you hear me? I lost Mr. Chapman. We hear noise in the background, but we don't hear it. Mr. Chapman, you still there?
I get cut off.
No, you're here. He has to hang. I guess he hung up and he's going to call back in. But he was here. Live radio, ladies and gentlemen. This is international live radio. And he will come back. We will get that question answered for I don't see what happened to him. We'll get that question answered for Melissa Hopkins as soon as he comes back. There he is. He's back.
There he is.
Yeah, there he is.
What did I do wrong?
I don't know. We can hear you talk. We could hear you talking, but you couldn't hear us.
Well, here I am.
Okay. Anyway, the question was from Melissa Hopkins. She wanted to know what's your suggestion that we, the little people, tell our congressmen and our representatives concerning the financial catastrophe.
Well, first of all, always keep your letters short. Dear Congressman Jones, the country's in a deplorable state. These issues interest me very much. Could you vote positively about these issues and list 2 or 3 of them, and that's it? or if you've got one issue in particular, just enunciate that. But make it brief, because he's not going to read it. It's going to go on a pile. And there's the good letters and the bad letters and so on. That's the way they do
Three
it.
stacks. Okay, now, speaking of the devil, Melissa Hopkins is online. Do you have a question for Mr. Chapman?
I do. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, you 5 by 5.
Excellent. Yeah, talking about the three piles, it's true. I worked in the Senate and the House for a long time, and as you know, you start in the mailroom and then you work your way up. And if it was a form letter, you counted it to see if it was enough of the form letters had any impact. Then you looked at the wacko letters that were just totally wacko. You threw them in the trash. And then if someone was very specific on an issue and made a cogent argument, then you gave it to the legislative director. And the legislative director would then give it to a legislative aide that happened to work on that particular issue. So Mr. Chapman is right about keep it brief. I wouldn't even go to 3 issues. I would go to 1 and then rewrite a letter on a second or third issue because they're really not going to remember your name. But the most important thing is really gathering in numbers. Get friends to write original letters on the same subject. And that becomes very, very important. Also, what's huge is multimedia. There's a great new website called telldc.com where people can put in text or video or audio on a certain subject, and the algorithm puts it all together. And when it hits a certain number point, then that senator or congressman will be called, and they'll say, 20,000 people are upset about this issue. Could you please give a video or audio response to that? And that's become a pretty powerful tool.
Well, I think that's great input. A lot better than what I gave him, but I don't have the experience in that area that you do.
No, but letters are still important, especially when it comes to congressmen as opposed to senators. They do read the letters. Not the congressmen themselves, but I mean the people that are hired to read the letters are highly qualified. Those are extremely important jobs that they fill because they see this person in this role at 21, 22, 23 becoming somebody. And so they do ask that. They'd be very thoughtful about those letters and do put them in those 3 categories.
You got a question?
Actually, there's a 4th category, death threats. We've got to put that in the 4th category. So my question was, outside of writing your congressman one by one, is there anything else that we can do? Are you willing to do?
No, I think electing people who you believe would best represent you would be the second thing. Unfortunately, what's gone on for a long time in the House and the Senate is the recipients of campaign contributions in large amounts, which is about 95% of the people in Congress. They are captive to the people who have given them the money. In other words, they've been paid off. And you have to try to overcome that. And if Americans are not successful in doing that under today's economic circumstances, this whole thing could turn into a revolution.
May I suggest something?